Hey everyone, and welcome to this video on Capricorn rising in love. In this video, we're talking about Capricorn rising, what your ideal love needs are based on your rising sign, your 5th house, and your 7th house in your astrology chart. I'm Cassandra, and welcome to my channel, SaffronSage Astrology. So first of all, Capricorn rising, the way you meet the world is through this Saturnian lens of seriousness. I mean, Capricorn rising really are not gonna play, right? So you're more likely immediately to consider partners in terms of things that are practical, like can they cook dinner? Are they useful? Am I useful to them? Are our lifestyles going to meet together on a everyday level? What are we going to do every day? What's our future? What's our future? Oh my God, Capricorn rising. Can we build a future? Can I build a future that supports them? If you are the more supportive partner, are they going to build a future that supports me? If you are the more receptive partner. Okay. Having an earth sign on your rising really gives you a more practical perspective. Now, especially because of the other signs, and we'll get to why later, I would say Capricorn rising of all the rising signs are going to be the more serious ones. Now, this can show up as having a more traditional perspective of relationships, especially having Taurus on that 5th house where you are not going to just rush right into sex, especially because Taurus moves slow. It takes a long time to get going, but once it's going, it's like it's unstoppable. So how that applies to your romance is that it might take you a really long time to feel safe enough to trust a partner. You may find that you just need to move at a pace that is quite slow. The challenge here is that some of the other signs need to move faster. And so you may find that it's possible, Capricorn rising, if you feel like that applies to you, that you could see that pattern in your life where you're wanting to build a slow, stable, steady future foundation. And if the other person isn't into that, they're not going to stick around. There are things that can mitigate this. So if you had like Mars or Venus in Aries, for example, or in fire signs, those things could mitigate it. Where your Saturn is could also change that because that's your ruling planet. So, just know that, take it. It's a general reading. Take it with a grain of salt, and always just refer back to what's true for you. Don't put anything I say on a pedestal. I always say that weird. Anyway, back to, your chart. So Capricorn on that rising sign, usually it gives you one of two things. One, it makes you more goal oriented. Or it can, for some people, it can make them more pessimistic, give them a more realistic view of life. And so that's going to filter into the relationships as well, where it's like you're not going to want a fantasy. You want someone, and when I say you want someone to cook you dinner, Capricorn rising, you have Cancer on your 7th house, which is nurturing. And you have Taurus on your 5th house, which represents food. Like I'm telling you, you probably want someone to cook you dinner. And so let's talk about why. 5th house Taurus, again, it's also going to be about enjoying the senses. So there is a sensuality here for Capricorn risings of wanting to have a partner that you can enjoy the physical side of life with. Now that can be the food you eat, the views you watch, the movies you see, the wine you drink, whatever you do. But it can also be the sex you have and needing, physical touch being a love language. Now, with Cancer on the 7th house, this is where you're going to tend to attract someone probably more emotionally nurturing, someone more nurturing. Now, emotionally, it could be part of it. Because, Cancer is kind of the sign of the mother. It's a sign of, doesn't mean you have to attract a woman or anything like that. If you're like a woman and you date men or something, it means that you're more likely to be in a long-term relationship with someone if you can see them as a wife or husband material, or if you feel like they're going to meet your needs, whatever your needs are, but it's probably going to be physical needs. Like you probably care if they're going to take care of the home. Like with Taurus and Cancer, like these are the strongest, like the two signs in the whole zodiac that represent home. So not just the physical castle Taurus, but like the emotional feeling you get when the house becomes a home. Okay, so you might still have times in your life, Capricorn and rising, where you're going to have fun or you're going to meet partners. It doesn't mean you can't ever have a one-night stand. But then when it comes to like the kind of relationship that you're thinking of to make you happy in life, you're probably going to want someone who makes your house a home because of these placements. Now, how exactly this plays out, this is going to depend on where is your moon. Your moon sign is more important for you personally because Cancer rules your 7th house of relationships. So everyone's moon sign matters a lot for their relationship. But for you, it's more because it's the ruler of one of your relationship houses. So like if you had moon in the 1st house of Capricorn, well, this is going to be very different than let's say you have it in the 7th house of Cancer. If it's in that 1st house of Capricorn, you're more likely to want someone who you feel takes on the identity that you want, has the identity you want to have. So it's almost like you are who you date. If you have your 7th ruler in the 1st house, you are who you marry. And you're going to feel like you want them to be an extension of you, of who you are. Like I think of a man who wants a trophy wife, but there's other ways this can show up where it's like you feel like your partner is a reflection of your self-image. Therefore, you're not going to pick someone who maybe is different than you or interesting. That's not going to be what you're looking for. You're going to be more likely, if that moon is in the 1st house, to look for someone who is like, oh, this is my boyfriend, my girlfriend, my husband, my wife. Now, if your moon were in the 7th house, well, these people need more emotional validation from their relationship, and they will be more insecure if their relationship doesn't go how they want. So they're probably going to attract someone who is more validating emotionally, or who, it doesn't mean they'll get that need met, but there's a need base for this person to have a relationship where there's more nurturing, people know where they stand emotionally. So then we would look to your chart to see where is Venus. Venus being the ruler of that 5th house. This is also a relationship planet, but for you, it rules your 5th house. So it's going to tell us more about your sexuality. So let's say that Venus is in the 5th house. Well, this is going to maybe mitigate some of the things I said about being so serious, because the 5th house is fun and it's dating and it's pleasure. So a Capricorn rising with Venus in the 5th, this one's going to be maybe have more time in their life where they're not traditional, or they may find that they are still traditional, but they care more about that sensuality we talked about earlier. Now, let's say that Venus, that 5th house ruler, that's in the 10th house. Now, this is going to really, really emphasize your need to have a partner that you think looks good in the eyes of your boss, or you think looks good in the eyes of your level of success. Now, that's not true for everyone, but I think because you already have Capricorn on your rising, it really kind of intensifies your natural way of being that can already be like this. So Venus in the 10th, that doesn't always mean you want someone who you can be proud of. But for you personally, Capricorn rising, that's what it would mean. So we could go on your chart for all of the aspects to Venus to see more of that story, and then all the aspects to the moon to see more of that story. So to get more on this, to go even deeper, you can click the link below for my ideal love profile. This is going to tell you your ideal partner based on your planets, as well as everything we just talked about. So click the link below to get yours, and let me know in a comment below if this resonated. I always love hearing from you, and I'll see you guys in the next video.